What makes this kid dance? Close out Barolo. Two of my favoriteest words in the whole world. Like Trump saying tariffs. Like how he gets all excited when he says tariffs. I don't, I hate it. But the same. Close out Barolo. Carome. This is good dirt, people. This is real effing wine. Let's talk about this. Why is it on closeout? You know, that might be one of those existential nausea questions. But one thing I can say is that, you know, 17 wasn't the easiest year in Barolo. Not because it was cold and rainy. On the contrary, it was hot. Hot, 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 hot. And when you have hot vintages, Nebbiolo with that extended growing season, you're not all the way through to ripening. So Nebbiolo, when it's bitch-ass hot in September, can sit there and go, right? And get that grumpy face, get that angry face, that furled up, bitter beer face as a grape. And when that happens, the results can be not so compelling. The wines can come out a bit tannic, a bit dry, a bit severe. Sometimes ripening is delayed because the vine's literally shut down because the Nebbiolo vine says, too hot, not talking to you. I'm protecting myself. So it's like the vines will go into like their kind of, you know, self-help or self-care, right? They're getting their feels and they'll just shut down and then they won't ripen. And then you have to hope that the heat goes away, cool weather comes back, maybe a little rain, something, and it'll help. Well, in 17, they didn't get a lot of that assistance. So these vines were left in their feels all the way through to ripening. But I think some sites definitely came out ahead, better than others. You know, high elevation sites in Monforte, potentially east-facing sites in Serralunga, right? If you got the morning sun and you get the afternoon sun, you were in a much better position, I think, within the context of vintage. That's why producers like Roberto Conterno, Giacomo Conterno, located in Serralunga, made really exciting 17s. And Serralunga in general is one of the villages that turned out best because they do have quite a bit of vineyard that faces east and southeast, so they didn't get the full-on raging afternoon 100-degree heat hitting from the west side in the afternoon. So Carome, let's talk about Carome. Great producer, actually, really good producer. You know, Romano Marengo founded the winery in 1980. His son, Pino, Giuseppe, now known as Pino. There's like 90 nicknames for Giuseppe. There's Beppe and Pino and Pini. Oh my God, if you're named Giuseppe, you could have like 10 different nicknames, which is kind of cool, huh? Anyway, Pino is running things now. They are soup to nuts. They work in the vineyards and the winery. Top technology, but classically styled wines, almost all large Slavonian oak botte, 25 hectoliter, big barrels. A little bit of French barrique in the cellar, but probably not too much French barrique used in 2017 because you weren't going to try and impart more tannin to the wine in a vintage that was already by nature tannic. So Cerretta is one of the top crews in Serralunga. Again, Roberto Conterno, Giacomo Conterno owns vineyard here. A lot of other people, Scavino, Prunotto, Cerretto. They make a fabulous wine from this vineyard. So it's a very famous site, known for making great, lovely, beautiful, ageable wines. Now, one of the keys with this site is, in Serralunga, here you have limestone base, but there's also a bit of blue marl on top. So you get wines of structure, but also elegance. You know, the limestone imparts elegance, that clay imparts a little more huevos, so you get a wine that's not as physically deeply colored as, say, the wines from Monforte or some of the wines from La Mora, but what you get is you get this wonderful complexity. Some of the best Barolo comes out of Serralunga. It is one of the top villages, but more based on its layers and levels and nuance, and not necessarily about power, though it has it in spades. But when you think about some of the top wines from Barolo, you talk about Bruno Giacosa, you talk about Conterno, a lot of these top guys are in Serralunga. You know, this is their hangout. This is their hidey hole. By the way, one of the best restaurants in the planet is in Serralunga, in the town, Centro Storico. If you're ever in Barolo, go there. Amazing place. Great wine list. That's my nerdy thing. I'll tap out after that. That's my, hey, I don't want like 20 emails. Hey, I'm going to Barolo next year. Can you? No. And see, this is beautiful. This wine doesn't show any of those real pronounced heat spikes. You know, you can smell the raisination in the wines with a lot of the 17s, where these vines were just stuck. They were just stuck. And you can tell this vineyard wasn't stuck. You can tell that this wine made it to the finish line, if you will, and was allowed to complete the ripening process much more so than a lot of wines from 17. Pretty ethereal. You get herbs, sweet herb, garrigue, sage. You get a little touch of that Quinato-esque quality, that super spicy, Christmas spicy character coming into play here. The sassafras, you know, or sarsaparilla, whatever you want to call it. You know, these characters coming into play in these wines. I love Cerretta Barolo when it's right. This one's right. Yeah, it's tannic, but it's normal Nebbiolo tannic. And the fruit is very pure and very genuine and very transparent in this wine. You're going to need a piece of meat, as you should with Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo is not, Barolo in particular, is not recreational drinking, right? We all know that. But you put a steak in front of this wine, ooh. This stuff's swinging for the fences. Great, great vineyard. And surprisingly high-toned in the mid-palate. When I mean high-toned, not light. No, the wine's dense, big. This is a big Nebbiolo, but it's not sitting hot, vintage, heavy in the mid-palate. This wine has wonderful lift. You can feel that the grapes got a break in the afternoon. I don't know the exposure in Cerretta where they're at, but I'm guessing they're east side. And that gives this wine that, that nuance and extra layer, plus the water retention aspect of the Blue Marl. So whatever water did come, I think these vines got out of it a little better than the more free draining vineyards. Everything that usually would work against you in a vineyard typically, especially nowadays, is almost working for you, right? Water retention, cooler spot. These are all things that nowadays, especially vintages like 17, vintages like 22, yes, this is like a real thing. You're going to get more vintages like that than the others. So things are changing. And this wine, this site tastes like it's playing into that change impeccably. So the deal. Wow, this bottle's looking good today. Anybody else around? Usually $100 retail, which for single vineyard, Barolo, top producer, that's what you pay. 95 points from Gloney, calls it one of the best wines ever from Calrome. Read the tasting note, it's pretty amazing. He loved the wine. How's half price? $49.98 for top flight Cru Barolo with 7-8 years in the bottle. And I can assure you folks, trust me, I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. This wine is gorgeous now. Too good. And I think this is the new Barolo. I think these guys are making the wines now to be accessible a little earlier. Not a lot. This is 8 years. But a little more accessible early on. I'm tasting some 16s that are looking actually really good. And I'm tasting some 9s and 8s right now. We're all tasting some 8s and 9s right now that look just sharp as hell. Like just beautiful, beautiful wines. So there you go. Half price Barolo from a great vineyard, top producer, killer score. All the boxes are checked, people. Bye now.